Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Wiktor Bogdanowicz, and I'm glad to talk to you today. Today, I'm going to share you my story of how to use personal branding in B2B product marketing. Uh, my goal here is um, to share with you my experiences and to make you more curious to find out what undiscovered lands um, are covered behind the mountains. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit stressed. Okay, let's start out. Okay, so B2B product marketing. It is really difficult part of marketing. I believe that there is a lot of fear in marketers. Marketers are afraid of big corporates. They don't know how to speak to others. They see that it's somehow different from B2C marketing. And what I learned from my past experience at INT4, where I'm head of marketing, is that even the most B2C marketing approaches can also work in B2B product marketing. So I want to share my story and start with the chapter 1, which is called Challenge. So let me tell you about the company I'm working in. Let me tell you about the challenge, about the industry, and let me make some introduction to the whole story. So, as you may notice, I'm a head of marketing at INT4. And INT4 is a company that offers testing solutions for SAP integration projects. It's a really difficult, detailed, hard IT tech industry. So this is quite challenging to, I believe, most of us marketers who are non-tech professionals. But we like challenges. Therefore, here's the product, INT4AFTT, which is automated testing tool. So this tool is used to automate all of the testing areas in integration projects in sub-industry. But it's not as easy as it sounds because there are 3 giants to compete with, Tricentis, Worksoft, and Microfocus. We are a small company. We're just getting started on this whole international enterprise level. So how should we approach it? And here comes challenge number 1. And I wanted to invite my teammates to go for a quest and dig out the treasure which is hidden within the company. Because I can see that regarding the resources, there is a common misconception that resources means budget or marketing team, how many people is counting the marketing team. And this is a misconception because this definition lacks the most important aspect, which I'm going to talk about soon. But speaking of this misconception, we marketers tend to focus on spending efficiency. We have limited budget, we have to manage it pretty wisely, we have to make difficult choices, and this is really tough because we want to try all of our ideas out. And I know how it hurts where you can't do it. So we have to make these choices. But I believe that many of us tend to forget that almost every single company hide the most precious treasure. And here's the quest. Let's find out what's the treasure. People are the treasure. I believe that you've heard it multiple times, especially from your colleagues from HR department and or colleagues responsible for employer branding. But for many years, I believe that I understand, I got it. But it came, I had this flinch when I realized that now I know what does that mean. And this is kind of dumb because I had this flinch when I was basically chilling and watching The Office, the American comedy series. And there I heard a quote from Michael Scott, which is a fictional character from this story, that people will never be replaced by machines. In the end, life and business are about human connections. And it struck me. because I always had had those thoughts about how to improve CTRs, how to increase lead generation, how to be more efficient. But thinking of efficiency, I forgot about human beings, that they are my audience, that I'm marketing my project to them. And behind every single business, there are human beings, same as me, same as you, same as any other human beings. We all have weaknesses, we all have emotions, we all have our irrational behaviors. But here comes this misconception that in business, there are no humans. There are only companies, their internal politics, their departments, that you have to just suffer when you encounter them. But this isn't true. And what does that mean? I believe that everyone within the company has different amazing set of values, a unique and wonderful story to tell. And I don't mean those kind of influencer stories where everything is perfect, where everyone is so amazing, so awesome. No, we have the uniqueness in our stories comes from imperfection. So I believe that we as a marketers, we have this obligation to help to the, of course, willing people share their stories. If we will give them exposure, we will give them a podium and a microphone to tell their stories, they will attract people, because every single story with like authentic story is relatable. And this is really beautiful. Imperfection is beautiful. And this is what I learned from Malcolm Gladwell, great writer, that we shouldn't be afraid of showing the failures and weaknesses. It's not worth it. On the opposite, I do believe that we can turn our weaknesses into our greatest advantages when we talk about them honestly and boldly. And I can see, and many of you can see, that people are getting tired of those perfect, shiny, almost soulless brands where everything is perfect and so on. Just look at your environment. People are talking about fails, about RTMs and so on, because there's imperfection behind it. It makes those people, those companies behind those stories more relatable. And I know I'm repeating myself, but it took me a while to really understand it, because on the logical level, I believe that each of us will agree. But on the other hand, when we act, we try to avoid showing imperfection as much as we can. And we have this irrational fear that those imperfections will make us look worse or unattractive. And we don't, we hide ourselves. And by hiding ourselves, a part of ourselves, we lack authenticity, which leads to the situation where we're not interesting anymore. So at NT4, I encountered this really difficult industry with huge competitors, and basically we couldn't fight for a war in a war with a budget. We couldn't fight in any other different way. So basically, I don't believe that we have to fight with competition. I believe that we have to admire our competition, because they make us stronger. They show us what we are lacking in our marketing. They highlight our failures. They highlight what we can do better. And this is huge. This is huge. So let me tell you what was the foundations behind the strategy that we implemented at INT4. So what was our treasure at INT4? We identified that those were two SAP mentors on board. So let me explain you, really simple explanation. SAP mentor is a kind of celebrity in SAP community. Those people are basically teaching others. They are recognized by SAP. There's something about 100 SAP mentors around the world. So it's pretty exclusive title. And we had two of them. We have two of them. on board, and this is huge. We had to use it. This is, and okay, this is obvious example of people are the treasure. But let's move on. We at our when I learned company, when I joined NT4, I had this training about core values, about our principles, how we behave, and so on. And what I loved and I really enjoyed was that one of our core values is basically continuous personal growth. We believe that we are not perfect, but we are trying to reach this perfection. Of course, we want to reach this perfection anytime in our life. Basically, almost all of us will fail. But this journey to perfection is something fascinating. It's something what makes us do amazing things. So this core value, I thought, was worth of highlighting. So another thing worth to mention is that SAP has its own publisher, which is called SAP Press. And in this company, when I joined, there were already some SAP Press book authors. And this is something huge. This gives you in SAP community huge recognition. And basically, if SAP wants to publish you, you have to meet a ton of the requirements. So it was something huge. And then another thing, what I found amazing, and I encourage you to incorporate this in your companies, is mentorship culture within the company. What I mean by mentorship culture is that, as I mentioned, there are two SAP mentors on board, and they teach others less experienced. And those less experienced, when they learn required knowledge, they teach others. And there is this whole train, this whole line of people teaching people. And I find it wonderful. I find it astonishing because I believe that this is something that we can extend outside the company. There's no need to hide it within the company. It would be basically unwise to hide it. And after that, as I mentioned, people are the treasure. And not only SAP mentors, but every single talented, ambitious, and very likable consultant, my colleagues. They're amazing human beings. I enjoy spending time with them. I enjoy working with them. And therefore, I thought, oh my God, if they are so wholesome, they are so interesting, I should help them to show themselves, to expose themselves to the market. And by market, I mean SAP community, which is a huge community built around SAP and their products. So what was the last aspect of what was last treasure in our list was our experience, lessons learned from our projects. And this is also really important because we all work, we all learn through working, we all gain experience, but not many people are willing to share their experience. And I know when you work hard and to work your way out to gain this experience, yeah, it's a pity to share it just like that with other people, and you want to gain something from sharing those knowledge. This is the reason why I started my public speaking. But on the other hand, I believe that sharing is caring. I know it's cliche. I know it's something we're telling once after time, but yeah, it's true. When we share our knowledge with no intention behind it, we can expect something magical to happen. And let me tell you what could we expect. But before that, okay, we've got those treasures, but those treasures, resources without the plan, it wouldn't be worth a penny because there's no, so for example, SAP mentors and those amazing people without exposure, basically hidden in a basement or in the company walls. They won't share themselves, and it's a pity. So our goal was to extend this mentorship culture to the sub-community. So we believe that, okay, we are taught by others inside the company, but after that, we are at some point ready to teach others. But I don't mean teaching like being an old wise mentor who doesn't make faults and so on. I mean teaching by showing how do we learn. And this is our call to action. We wanted to invite others, the whole SAP community, to join us in our professional development journey. It was pretty challenging, but we love challenges. We marketers love it. So another foundation was the point that we share our technical knowledge because we have a lot of technical experience learned from the projects, and we have to teach others what we just have learned. And we want to create meaningful, honest, beautiful relationships to really understand others' needs and basically their existence, because those relationships would be a great fundament of wonderful business partnership. But as I mentioned, we don't want to position ourselves as old wise mentors. We want to stay humble. We want to embrace criticism. And we aren't afraid of asking others to help us. In worst case scenario, we will never hear no. So those were our strategic foundations, that the thoughts and ideas that were behind the general idea of using personal branding in B2B product marketing. Here's honorable mention, the book that I treat as a marketing Bible, Relationship Marketing, Successful Strategies for the Age of the Customer by Regis McKenna. This is one of those books that you will come back time after time and you will read it again and again. And every single time you will learn and you will experience this flinch with different aspects. So I really recommend this book. If you want to, so for me, for example, it was something that basically skyrocketed my development, personal development as a marketer, as a strategist. So this was our ideological foundation behind the story, but it's not about talking and thinking. It's all about the adventure. Let's do something. Let's go on this adventure. So we have the first quest. We have to make an epic introduction to SAP community. We are a small company from Poland with great ambitions, with great potential, but nobody knows us. How should we say hello so they would remember us? Our response was simple. We created OpenSAP training. OpenSAP is a platform created by SAP, official platform hosted by SAP with certification trainings and classes for its products. So our idea was to also have our product video course with certification, with of course SAP certification. This was our idea. Another idea was to write a book that will explain our point of view. How do we perceive testing in SAP projects? Because we found out that we have a different understanding of how testing should be conducted in the companies, and we talked to people. We got this feedback that yeah, our approach would work, but nobody knew our approach. So the idea was to write a book, which will be published by SAP Press, their own official publisher. And third thing, of course, there has to be expo, some first. And we thought of exhibition at SAP TechEd in 2019, which is one of the greatest, the biggest events created and hosted by SAP. And it was the last one before the pandemic, so we had a little bit of luck. So how did we proceed with that? OpenSAP training. So we create training, and as you may see, the title, the name of the training, Virtualize and Automate Your SAP Testing Using INT4FTT, strongly suggests that this is all about our product. And okay, there can be some concern that nobody would care about some anonymous product. But our approach was that if we will provide the best content quality possible, and get as much professional certified as possible, we can make it. So the best content quality possible was to attract people, to make them stay, to make them basically almost admire the form, how did we present it. And more certifications, more certified professionals that knows our products means raising awareness, of course. So our solution was simple. We've chosen the best course making studio in Poland, and we used Lightboard in videos, which you can see on the presentation. This is basically a piece of glass where you write everything, and then you have a ton of tough time when you want to erase something. But then you make a mirror, you mirror the picture, and then it looks like you are writing in the sky. And it looked amazing. And hundreds of people pointed out that they were amazed with this format. This was our eye-catching stuff. But on the other hand, they stayed. They stayed because the content itself, the structure of the training, the whole lectures, the presenters, which were our people, our consultants, these made people stay. So what was the outcome? The outcome was that in less than 2 months, we've reached almost 5,000 professionals, SAP professionals around the world. We also there were also over 500 records of achievement, which are basically those certifications. And you can also see there were SAP employees. There were people were highly satisfied. So yeah, we were on. It took a ton of time to produce it. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't so easy, so simple. There was a ton of preparation. There were countless hours of hard work, of going to studio and back to the work. People were tired, but people were excited because the people inside the company, they knew that they as the presenters, they have this exposure. They can show themselves as a professional on an official SAP platform, which was kind of huge for them. So they achieved their top performance, and it was amazing. This training is basically a living testimony of how awesome it was, and I'm really happy about it. I'm just happy about it. I'm just happy about the outcome. But it's just the first thing. Second thing, the book. So my colleagues wrote the book, Testing SAP APIs, Strategy and Execution. And few points to discuss. First and foremost, SAP Press is official SAP publisher. So book published by SAP Press means trust, means recognition, means basically that we are more trustworthy in the eyes of the audience. We are not anymore anonymous small company from the different part of the world. We were basically one of them, one of those big companies, because we're backed up by SAP. So our idea was to write a book explaining our approach to testing, our whole idea behind it, our whole basically thought process, to explain people why do we think differently and what are the differences. We didn't want to point out that our school of thought is better than yours. It's not about it. We just wanted people to just learn another aspect, another point of view. And this was the goal. But when we delivered this reliable, trusted source of our knowledge, we didn't sell a lot of those books. It wasn't never a goal. Our goal was to hand out hundreds of books to our potential clients, to our business partners, to our auditory, to our audience from social media. We wanted to share our knowledge. This was our goal at the first place, because sharing knowledge will make us more reliable. And we have something worth to say, worth to listen. So this was our first and main goal. And it went amazing. But we didn't stop. We went to SAP TechEd 2019 in Barcelona, which is basically the main huge technical event full of trainings and networking, huge conference for SAP community. One of the, yeah, basically the greatest one. So yeah, it's a big, huge event. There's thousands of companies, and most of them are bigger than us. Most of them are wealthier than us. Most of them have tons of thousands of, of dollars to spend, to burn in a budget. So we didn't stand a chance in those comparisons. So our idea was to stand out at the biggest expo in SAP community. And this is tough. How to stand out in such a huge event? Our solution was to use contrast, piece of paper, printer, and print basically one single line. We are no sales reps, just geeks here. And what was the outcome? Of course, a part of countless smiles, people approaching us just to talk and to relate that they're so tired of those sales reps at the expos. No mean to offend, of course. But yeah, they had some point that they felt these relations, and they had basically the reason to ignite the conversation, which basically resulted in very good results. The leads, contacts, profits, relationships that we created. This is the most important, because as I mentioned earlier multiple times, it's all about relationships. But it was just the first quest. Second one was how to expand mentorship culture on SAP community. There are hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Of course, we have this training, we have some books, we have SAP mentors, but is it enough to basically spread our word through the community? No. So our idea was to share our knowledge through basically content. So blog articles. Our goal was to basically share our technical guides. For example, if our consultants work on the projects, sometimes they can't find a solution. They Google whole net, they can't find solution, but they find out the solution. So this was a great reason to write it down as an article. And we did a ton of them like that. The other idea for the content, for the articles, were interviews with really inspiring SAP professionals, influencers in the community, and so on. This was also something huge because it was an idea brought by our sales rep who studied journalism earlier, and he basically noticed that, okay, I can be a journalist. I can conduct the interviews with people. People want to be interviewed because it fits their ego. But it wasn't an intention. The intention was to highlight and show interesting people. We didn't expect anything in return. We just wanted to highlight interesting people. We wanted to bring the value to the community by sharing the stories of those people. And it was one of the greatest series of articles at our website. Basically, almost every second post was trending on really good hashtags and brought a ton of views, really good website performance. So yeah, something as not obvious could work sometimes. The other tool were webinars. We used basically webinars to present our use cases, to conduct live product demos, to show how does it work, to make it more visible to people, to replenish the abstract idea of the product that works somehow, and there is the idea behind it, to the actual product that you can see when someone's clicking it, you can ask how does it work and so on. And this is huge. But what was more important in that, we always try to invite someone from outside the company. We always try to invite someone from, I don't know, our business partners, our key customers, some inspiring people from the industry, because we want to highlight those people, and those people can bring the value to the audience. Remember, I know Business is business, and we have to worry about the cash. And of course, this is this is crucial. Of course, without the cash, we cannot exist. But I encourage you to sometimes let go of those thoughts. I encourage you to focus on the people behind it. And here we come to the third solution, which were videos. We created technical guides. We created personal brands for the videos. We connected those particular people with the particular topics they're interested in, they are good at. So we wanted to highlight their authenticity. And trust me, it was challenging because not everyone is a movie star. Not everyone feels comfortable in front of the camera. And how should you make someone rising movie star? How should you make someone act in front of camera? My answer is, you don't do it. Let them be authentic. Let them stumble. Let them let them lose their words. Let them be silent for a while. Be awkward. This is authentic, and people can relate to that. And this gives a huge advantage for every single personal brand. So, what was the outcome of this content production? In 2 years, we wrote over 170 articles and technical guides. All of them were written by IT4 professionals in something about 2 years. I know there are some companies that can create a ton of content, but those articles were like really detailed technical guides answering particular solutions. And this was huge because it didn't give amazing stats like, the ton of views and so on. Of course, it was very well, but they attracted the proper people, the people we wanted to attract. And we were their saviors because we offered them help. Sometimes they even wrote back to our consultants. Sometimes they even were fascinated in our product. And yeah, it's really important to share what you've learned, because by sharing it, you may be the first one that shared this particular insight, and it will create a ton of gratefulness in people that are reading or listening or watching it. Another outcome was the webinars. Webinars were recommended by major SAP community influencers all over the LinkedIn. How did we achieve it? And this is really simple. I really admire my colleagues from sales department because I will not ever in my life make a cold call to someone and sell something. It's frightening to me. Even though I love speak to people, I love showing off myself on the stage. It's frightening to me. And I had this lock in my head that I cannot just outreach the people and ask them to provide me some value. I thought that it wasn't polite. I cannot do it. People will tell me to leave them alone. So why not? One of my colleagues inspired me, and he told me what would happen. At worst case scenario, they will tell you no. And what was amazing, the lesson I learned was that if you ask people like really politely and you expect nothing else, just you ask them this favor, you explain why you are polite and so on, majority of them will help you, will offer you this help. And this is something amazing. I believe that this is, people want to be needed. And I believe that that when you allow people to be needed, you give them this opportunity to make a good deed. And people want it. I also enjoy helping others and so on. Of course, nobody has the time. We all have a ton of meetings and so on. But remember, be polite. Don't be intrusive. Don't expect something unrealistic. Be honest, be humble, but be polite. And I guarantee that you will be amazed how people are polite, how people are gentle, and um, and heartwarming. So, speaking of the webinars, I just asked those influencers. I just wrote them, "Hey, we're doing the webinar. May I ask you to let me know what you think about it? Maybe share it." And majority of them, like 90% of them, helped us. They became our friends and colleagues from the SAP industry. We are still in contact with those people, and they're amazing people. But yes, it only took one question to start those relationships, and this is wonderful. Um, but webinars, they were attended by 100 SAP professionals each. There was huge demand on webinar recordings after the webinars. And those recordings can be also used as a recycled content. Of course, you can cut them down in multiple pieces and use them in social media and so on. So this is another benefit, bonus. So let's move on. Journey through SAP. This was the title of the series of those interviews conducted by my colleague from sales department, JZ. So he conducted over 20 interviews with SAP community thought leaders. And apart from those connections, those relationships that he made, those people that he met, those inspiring stories that he heard, he helped them. He helped them expose their value, and therefore he created a quite strong bond with them. And this is huge. He cannot emphasize how helpful it is when it comes to sales further on. Because people know people, people want to help their relatives and so on. So yes, this works like that. If you're a good person to others people, they will be the same to you. So yeah, this is the lesson. But we also introduced new video formats. We also improved content performance, and we also write free new SAP Press books. Of course, our colleagues, not me. But it led to the event that official SAP Press website created a landing page, SAP Press Books by INT4. And yeah, this is what I call recognition. This is what I call that we are starting to showing us in this whole community. And what's more funny and important in this story, we just wrote them a mail, the SAP Press. We just asked them, hey, would it be possible for you to do it? Yeah, sure thing. This is so simple, yet so amazing. And I'm amazed that I didn't use just the power of asking people before. So let's move on with another quest, the last one, which is to listen. Because, okay, we showed ourselves, we exposed our mentorship culture, but relationships is never one-sided. There are always two sides. So one of the most important, and I believe this is the most crucial quest in this adventure, was to listen and hear the voice of SAP community. And this is what taught me my mentor, my teacher, Mark Finnern, who always at our consulting sessions emphasized that marketing is always about human being, and the value lies in the feedback. People will tell you what's wrong, what's okay, what could be improved, and so on. Of course, majority of people can repeat the same words again and again and again. But I believe that there is a sophisticated small difference, and the difference lies between listening and hearing. People do listen, but people don't want to hear. And this is what I also try to incorporate in my life, because this is really tough. One of my favorite movies, Fight Clubs, mentioned that we do not want to hear. We just wait for our turn to speak. And we can't do it because people want to be heard. Each of us want to be heard, want to be understand. And good relationships are based on common understanding. The strong relationships are bonded through sharing the stories. So our response was LinkedIn networking. And I know you think about the guys who are writing to you like a few times a day. Hi, I want to sell you my prints, my agency services, my ABC. It's not like that. I don't believe in automation when it comes to social selling. I do not believe in lean process right there. I believe that meeting and learning under other people is a tough process. It's difficult. It's continuous process. You have to spend countless hours on meetings, on talking to people, on discussing their ideas, their what they're afraid of, without any hidden intentions. Because I believe that every and each of us can see the person who wants to sell you something. When someone approaches you on the networking or on the LinkedIn, hi, how are you? What are you doing? But you know right from the beginning that this person is going to want to sell you something. And you are already blocked. You don't want to listen to this person. You're just thinking about the way how to be polite and tell him to leave you alone. So always remember, no hidden intentions, just pure, honest need of meet and understand another people is something that bonds those relationships. And and we did it. And the other aspect was behavioral service. And this is highly influenced by Will Leach and his book about behavioral marketing. So basically, the whole concept idea is to create a survey about the product, but not NPS, not a regular NPS, because this survey is more focused on the feelings, what's subconscious. And we're not psychologists, we're not neuroscientists. And this is really difficult for us to predict. It's basically wishful thinking when we think that, oh, we know what someone feels. But you can set up some questions to identify what, maybe not feelings, but what kind of motivations lie behind those decision-making processes. So my idea and my goal was to discover what drives people to buy our solution, to deep understand the feedback they give me. And here I come to the journey. I am on the journey. And I am sharing this journey with you right now. And I'm really happy that I can do it. And I want to share the lessons that I learned from all of those stories. So first things first, of course, those weren't the only actions, only marketing actions that we did, because there were many of them. This was the strategic core. This was the idea behind our actions. But there are some lessons that I want to share with you. First one is that, as I mentioned before, you are already equipped with the greatest marketing resources available, your colleagues. Every one of them has a different, unique story, and this is wonderful. You have to share it with others. Another story I want you to share with, I want to share with you is that there is no B2B. It's always people to people. Behind every single business enterprise, there are always people behind it, and they also share the same emotions. They share the same weaknesses, insecurities. They're basically the same human beings. So don't put a blockade before you. See the people behind the company. I wanted also to share with you amazing quote by Malcolm Gladwell. What you find interesting is not perfection. And this is one of his key insights that he shares when it comes to writing the stories. And I wanted to also to share with the lesson that if you are honest with your shortcomings, fails, you're authentic and relatable, you will make people trust you. You will strengthen your brand. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to show that you are also a human being. And I ask you, do not listen. Just hear the people. Let them speak. Try to understand them. And remember that asking people doesn't hurt. Do it politely and let them surprise you with their kindness and honesty. And remember, at the end of the day, everyone has a unique story to tell. Please don't hide it. Let the world hear your amazing story. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much.